Is it true that you have written a number of very revolutionary poems, plays, and other writings?
I have written a number of poems and songs and plays in the fight against Hitler, and of course they can be considered therefore as revolutionary, because I, of course, was for the overthrow of that government.
I don't think we've played that all the way through recently. Anton Karas's Third Man theme. At the very top was Bertolt Brecht before the House Un-American Activities Committee back in the late 40s, I believe. Right after that speech, he drove to New York and flew to East Berlin, and the rest is history. And I play that. Now, that's from the 40s. We are going through that again. Am I right, Reggie? We are definitely going through that period of time again. And you better wake up, folks. You better wake up. Because ere long, guess what? They're coming after us if they're not. It's not already in the works. Okay, see what's happening. The extreme left, whatever that means. Whatever that means. We have people in the center. We have people center right. We have neocons at this station that support Nazis in Ukraine, and you got Trump on your side now. Those of you who probably supported the Contras, you supported that proxy war. You supported the against the Nicaraguan government. You supported the proxy war against in Vietnam, supporting that proxy through the proxies of South Vietnam, and I suppose you support this proxy war against Russia. So I assume if you support the neo-Nazis in Ukraine, then you supported the Contras. That's the only thing I can assume. Right now. At any rate, we live in very dangerous times right now, folks, because it's coming. You can see it. It's happening. You saw what Hegseth did. He just restored the medals to those cavalry men involved in the massacre at Wounded Knee. All right, and they are coming really fast and furiously. All right, so we got to call up Gerald Celente. We have a lot on our plate today. I slapped the show together yesterday, and Reggie just downloaded everything. Thank you, Kelly Lane, for those two clips, including Bertolt Brecht. And remember what's going on, folks. Let's play For What It's Worth. This is...
There's something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Battle lines being drawn, and nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds are getting so much resistance from behind. Time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
I don't know what year that is, Reggie, but it was Buffalo Springfield.
I think it was 68.
68. You know that.
Yeah.
You know, you're an encyclopedia in and of itself. I'm Randy Credical. This is Live on the Fly. I don't think I ever mentioned my name at the very top.
You did now.
I did now. You know, Gerald, he's the publisher of Trends Journal. He's the founder of Occupy Peace and has written a whole bunch of books. Trends 2000, Trends Tracker, and one of my favorites, What Zizzy Gave or Told Honey Boy. I forgot the title there, but I'm close. Am I right, Gerald?
Right. What Zizzy gave Honey Boy.
That's what it is. It says what Zizzy gave Honey. Now, before you say anything, one of the speakers, he was going to be on the show today. I spoke to him this morning, tomorrow, before we get into it. I just want to play this by Judge Napolitano, to kind of emphasize what I was talking about earlier during the Red Scare of the 40s and 50s and what we're going through right now. This is what the judge, he cobbled together and opened the show with yesterday with Jeffrey Sachs.
What if the Constitution no longer applied? What if the whole purpose of the Constitution was to limit the government? What if Congress's enumerated powers in the Constitution no longer limited Congress, but were actually used as a justification to extend Congress's authority over every realm of human life? What if the right to keep and bear arms only applied to the government? What if posse comitatus, the federal law that prohibits our military from occupying our streets, were no longer in effect? What if the government could send you to your death and your innocence meant nothing so long as the government's procedures were followed? What if you could love your country but hate what the government has done to it? What if Jefferson was right? What if that government is best which governs least? What if I'm right? What if the government is wrong? What if it is better to perish fighting for freedom than to live as a slave? What if freedom's greatest hour of danger is now?
Oh, that's pretty powerful, isn't it?
He's a very powerful man. That's the man, by the way, I'd like to see as President of the United States.
Right.
No one that I know knows the Constitution and the Bill of Rights better than Judge Napolitano.
And he'll be speaking there, as will our next guest, who's coming on in about 5 or 6 minutes, and that is Ray McGovern. You got a powerful event tomorrow. I think I'm going to be up there.
Oh, great! We got Judge Napolitano.
I'm not going to speak, but I'm going to come up there to make sure, Roger, everything runs smoothly. Go ahead and tell us what you have tomorrow.
We got Roger Waters is going to be doing a broadcast. We got Judge Napolitano, Scott Ritter, Joe Lauria from Consortium News, Dennis Kucinich, Ray McGovern.
Yeah, he's listening to you right
Darlene
now, by the
Nixon,
way.
And Diane Sear also, she's going to be here as well, and others. You know, we're uniting for peace. You know, it's what the judge was saying when he was reading. What he used the word slaves. All I call us now are plantation workers of Slavelandia. That's all we become. Does anybody remember this thing? Calling these low-life pieces of crap that people call politicians public servants? Shut up, Salenti. Public servants, no. You're the servants of the politicians. We're not servants of you. We steal your money so we can have the high life that we want, and we'll give your money to any country we want to slaughter people. And, of course, we give it to the military-industrial complex so they can keep making a lot of money as we slaughter people. What's your favorite war? Oh, you were playing the music, right, from 1968? Yeah. And where are all these musicians now? Oh, they're only, again,
Roger Waters makes up for all of them.
But I'm just saying, no, it doesn't. He's doing what he's doing. Where are the rest? It's up to we the people.
No, I understand that.
And here's the deal. Again, I'm the same age as Trump.
Well, you look a lot better.
Draft deferments. I did everything I could to beat the draft, and I want to make this 1,000% clear. As a young kid back then, I was stupid enough to swallow the crap that the mainstream media was selling. If we don't stop those Vietnamese, they're going to take over all of Asia, and then the dominoes will keep falling till they hit the shores of California. Not making that up. They said. I believed it, but I know I got my brains blown out. Anyway, so now you got Trump, you got Biden. Oh, Biden got 5 draft deferments too. But all these guys love war, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't fight, but you go over there and fight. So going back to what's going on, we are on the precipice right now of nuclear annihilation. Europe is ramping up the war. Don't you like this guy over there in Germany?
Yeah.
Merz?
Adolf Merz.
Yep, Heil Merz. Yep.
Yeah.
You should hear this guy.
I hear.
By the way, Germany, again, in the Trends Journal, we only put in facts. Germany has been in recession now for 2 years. 2 years.
Right.
2 years.
Yeah.
And now they're borrowing $1 trillion to build up the military because we have to stop those Russians. Hey, you loved World War I, didn't you? Nah, I like Germany in World War II better. Oh, the Germans that killed over 25 million Russians in Operation Barbarossa in World War II? Yeah. Oh, those Germans. You got to listen to Merz. What's wrong with you? You ready for this? This is from the Financial Times.
I got 2 minutes. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, today, Merz backs tapping frozen Russian assets to fund Ukraine war effort.
Great. Well, they helped the Germans in World War II.
The mobilization of financial resources on a scale that would secure Ukraine's military resilience for several years. And Merz stressed, you ready? It should be directed exclusively to the purchase of military equipment that we, the Germans, are making? Where's the outrage? Where are we, the people? Go to OccupyPeace.com, OccupyPeace.com. It's the most historic four corners in America.
It's great.
Where the seeds of democracy was sown, John and Crown Street.
Remember that, folks. The four corners, it's called, it's Occupy Peace. OccupyPeace.com.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. A little Lotta Lenya. I want to hear a little Lotta Lenya from Die Drei Grossenapper. To play the whole thing, but I don't like to keep Ray McGovern busy. Or not busy, but busy looking at his watch. Ray McGovern is a former CIA analyst. He was the guy who gave the PDB, the President's Daily Briefing, for years, and he's a good friend of mine. He was also a close friend with the late Robert Knight. Welcome back to the show, Ray. Ray McGovern, we just gave you a big build-up, and I gave you a so-so.
Nothing true, I hope.
Well, of course not. But I played, Die Drei Grossenapper, Mac the Knife by the great Lotta Lenya, and I played it in German, and I wanted a translation, but I know what it says. But did you hear it?
That's when the thing dropped. So I'm glad to be back with you, and I'm actually very glad to hear Gerald on there talking about what's going to happen tomorrow there in his place, and we're going to really have quite some interesting conversations. And I hope that folks that I still know from New York and are still talking to me, that they'll show up there.
Well, who's not talking to you? Who is not talking to you?
There's a lot of people that don't get Russiagate, and they have what I call Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
And,
these are the same people that support the Ukrainians, even though they're neo-Nazis. Am I right? They support.
Well, yeah, it's really very sad because these are well-educated people, but they have been subjected to a barrage from the media, and they're not sophisticated enough to get out from under the barrage. And So when I tell them that the attack on Ukraine was not unprovoked, they said, "What do you mean? What are you in Putin's pocket or something?" But I have whole briefings on that, and anybody's really interested in listening and maybe learning, that's available.
Well, Ray, we've been talking about this for 3 years. The genesis of this war, which goes way back, it's a special military operation, but it goes way back, and it's provoked by the same people that got us in Vietnam, the same people that got us in Iraq, the same people that are trying to get us in Iran, that got us into Libya, and these folks are gonna buy that this is some righteous cause supporting a neo-Nazi government in Kiev.
Well, memories are short, and people, there is such a thing as invincible ignorance, and when it's hard to believe that, for example, Trump could be correct about something, my God, people just can't bring their minds around to understand that when Jim Comey is put on trial, as he is going to be, that's for cause. That's because he took every liberty with the law, with the Constitution, with all kinds of Justice Department regulations, and lied through his teeth. And now he's going to be tried for those lies and for that attempt to cover up.
What about the lies now by Trump?
Well, what about them? I mean, Trump, he can't open his mouth without lying.
Really?
This is an equal opportunity lying contest.
Right,
here.
right.
But what Comey did was under oath, and it was for the specific purpose of first trying to make sure that Hillary Clinton won, and then secondly, when she did win, contrary to all odds, to cover up what they had done. It's very simple. When people say to me, "My God, Ray, you mean, come on, the head of the FBI would violate the Constitution?" And I said, of course, just read the little book that somebody helped them write. And people need to know this. This is what he says in his little book that he wrote about 2 years after all this went down. He says, and this is a quote, "I was operating in an environment in which Hillary Rodham Clinton was sure to be the next president of the United States of America. Period." End quote. Well, if that's the environment that you're operating in, well, you're going to do everything you can to make sure that, maybe you get to be attorney general, or you take all liberties with the law and regulations because nobody's going to catch you because you're just going to win, for God's sake. So that's exactly how Comey came at it. John Brennan as well, James Clapper as well. So all these people are now being challenged with documents, okay? This is not something made up. This is not the hoax. The hoax was before. Now we have the documents. So all I'm saying here is that...
so you got some friends that don't like you.
Right.
Tulsi Gabbard is doing what? And I'd like to know, what is the current FBI director doing that is so spotless?
Well, the current FBI director was head of a team that looked into all this when the Democrats were still running the House Intelligence Committee, and he wrote a very intrusive document that he was unable to talk about while it was still classified. Tulsi Gabbard declassified that 2 months ago, and now it's all out there hanging. Who did what to whom? And let me just share this with you. Tulsi Gabbard has now thrown the gauntlet down. I mean,
in support of
James
Palestinians.
Comey should be in jail, or saying that what's his name? The new senator from Adam Schiff, that he should be in jail. Well, I mean, they should, but she's taken on the deep state and the Dems and the media.
But she's not taking on the Trump administration and all of the things, what they're doing in Venezuela, illegal, what they're doing with ICE, illegal, flouting the law, illegal. Why isn't the FBI releasing the Epstein files, which will implicate Trump? Why is he holding that back? Let's find sunlight on all of it. Is he compromised, the FBI director?
Well, I'm not talking about Kash Patel. I'm talking about Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying here, from my particular perch, having spent decades in intelligence analysis and in the CIA, is this unprecedented? It's historic. She has thrown down the gauntlet to the deep state. They're going to do everything they can to do her in. It's in the judicial process now. Comey has been indicted. He's going to be tried on 2 counts. Let's see what happens.
Okay, so that's then. I agree. What he did was terrible, but I want to talk about what's happening right now domestically with the ICE raids and wearing the masks and what they're doing in Venezuela and what they're doing, just scooping people off the streets and not. Why are they repressing the Epstein files, do you think?
Well, let's take the Epstein files first. I think they're repressing them because all kinds of important people are in them,
right?
Including Trump. We know Trump's name is in there. We don't know exactly what lurid detail, but that's Epstein. It's pretty simple. The other thing, Venezuela. My God, that's terrible. I mean, we had 3 boats killed or shot to pieces by and the people as well, by the U.S. Navy at Trump's command. My God, that's how illegal can you be? So this is crazy. How do you explain it? Well, this is how I explain it. A couple of weeks ago, there were a whole bunch of people met in Beijing. Okay.
Yeah.
My
SCO.
God, it was most of the world represented there. And the tide has shifted from decades ago when the U.S. was top dog. Now it's not top dog anymore. And finally, somebody whispered into Trump's ear, hey, tell these guys, Texas and all that if whispered into Trump's ear. And we're going to lose, okay? That's we run all these kinds of exercises. We're going to lose for sure. So let's see if we can rejigger things around to focus on our own country and not incidentally Latin America, where we can do what we want. We always have been able to. And that's, I think, so they said, no, Trump, put on your big boy pants now and shoot up some ships there and pretend they're terrorists carrying drugs to the U.S. And that's what he did. Now, it's incredibly deplorable what he did. But what he's trying to do is compensate for real strong losses in the balance of power. Not only do we have a complete shift away from the West to the traditional people who had all the power after World War II, but we have a Germany, as you already mentioned, that has replaced us as number 1. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when I joined the CIA and the U.S. Army, there was a Glavny Vrak, a main enemy, and that was the Soviet Union. Okay, Russia was the main enemy, for God's sake. It was always that way, and it would always be that way. Until it fell apart. Now we still remain the main enemy until just about 4 months ago. And guess what happened? They took new polling. Guess who's the main enemy now? Guess who displaced the U.S. on the top of the list of the main enemies? Germany.
No kidding.
Whoa. Now, that's big.
How did they get there?
Well, this Merz, look what he said just a couple of weeks ago. We're going to change things in Europe to the point where we will once again become the most powerful army on the continent of Europe. Now, the Russians have a little history with guys like Merz. And the once again thing really, they objected to this strongly. And they kept saying, don't you remember what happened last time? Don't you remember? Not only did you lose, but you took out 27 million Soviet citizens. We're not going to put up with that anymore. The world has changed. So Merz is out of his gourd, pretending that he could perhaps redress the balance and make Germany the most powerful, once again, the most powerful country.
Yeah, he seems pretty obsessive. He seems pretty obsessive. Is it, his grandfather was a Waffen SS officer, and his father was in the Wehrmacht. Is it that he has this intrinsic hatred, this Russophobic hatred of Russia?
Well, I don't know.
Or is
there's
it
that.
BlackRock? Or is it
Well,
BlackRock?
You took the words right out of my mouth, Randy. Yeah, I mean, the people making a whole lot of money about, defending, so to speak, against the Russian threat. Now, let me put a little gloss on that. We had Joe Biden telling us, you think that Putin will stop in Ukraine? You think that? Well, you're crazy. He won't stay. He'll go into Poland, and then they go to the Baltic States. He won't stop. Now, Biden, maybe, I don't know if he was fully compass mentis at the time. He was an old, cold warrior, and he had these stooges, Blinken and Nod and Sullivan. So, he can sort of understand him. But what you got now is really, really crazy. You got people thinking that they can contend with a modernized Russia that has weaponry that we don't have, like hypersonic missiles and all that kind of thing. And, what's going to happen now with respect to Ukraine, and despite what Trump says from one day to the next, this is the reality, okay? Try to wrap your mind against this, because it's sort of like a syllogism, okay? Here it is. Okay. We're going to make available by sales weaponry to the Europeans. They're going to buy it from us, but they don't really have the money to buy them for us. And actually, we don't have any weapons to sell them right now. It's going to take 2 or 3 years. So, and then when we sell those and the Europeans have enough money to buy them, then we're going to give them to the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians that don't have enough soldiers to man them. Outside of that, it's a foolproof plan. It's a fool's plan. I mean, so what's going to happen? Well, in my view, Trump and J.D. Vance and the rest of them have made it very clear, we're finished. We're done, as J.D. Vance has said. We're done with Ukraine. You Europeans think you can do what's necessary? Go ahead. Because what's necessary is not to defend against the Russian threat. The last thing I'll say, and this is important, okay? Now, when you say, the Russians won't stop, as Joe Biden did, well, hey, guys, they already stopped. Oh, yeah? When was that, right? They stopped in April of 2022, just 6 weeks after the invasion of Ukraine. Really? Yeah, really. Zelensky sent his best friend to negotiate this thing, and Putin was personally involved with his negotiators. They came to a deal, right? Came to a deal. No Ukraine and NATO. We'll put off Crimea and the rest of the stuff till later. We'll have a ceasefire, and we'll have restrictions on some armaments. It's a deal. It was signed. It was not signed, but it was initialed. And what happens? The U.S. sends this clown Boris Johnson in to tell the Ukrainians, look, don't do it, because you can't trust the Russians. And besides, we'll support you for as long as it takes. Oh. Now, Zelensky probably hanging his head in shame now, because you just can't really believe the U.S. when it says, as long as it takes. And I'm embarrassed to see that we have 1 million dead young Ukrainian soldiers dead because this agreement that was initialed 6 weeks into the war was vitiated by the U.S. and Great Britain. And so we have continuing casualties. Now, there are more than 1 million Ukrainian troops dead, probably around 400,000 Russian troops dead. When is it going to stop? When are they finally going to say, look, all right, we won't try to get Ukraine in NATO anymore. That's all I have to do. And we have the Secretary General of the not the UN, but of NATO, saying that. If you look at 2 years ago, he said to the EU Parliament, and he says, look, this is the way it went down. The Russians, they didn't want NATO expansion. So they said, keep trying to get Ukraine in NATO. we will invade Ukraine. And we said no. And so they invaded Ukraine, but we got NATO expansion anyway because we got Finland and we got Sweden, so we got two countries there. Now, picture that, Randy. This is after about 500,000 Ukrainian soldiers, not to mention the Russians and others, had been killed. So what kind of leadership do you have of this NATO thing that's kind of falling apart? My point is simply that if you look at the evidence, you can educate your American brothers and sisters and say, look, this was a fool's errand. It was an epitome of being provoked. It was not full scale. You don't try to conquer a country with about 90,000, 100,000 troops. And people say, oh, of course it was illegal. Well, I've talked to Richard Falk, who wrote the book on international law, and he says this is unsettled law. What Putin used to justify this is a thing that has been honored in the past. So lawyers will differ on this. So it was not unprovoked.
Right.
It was not full scale. These are the buzzwords, okay? And whether it was illegal or not, well, good people can differ about that. But Putin felt threatened. We know what the buildup across the line there in the Donbass was just before he invaded. And so it's just not making excuses for the invasion. The invasion was an awful kind of thing, but it was provoked by the United States, who wouldn't get off this thing that Ukraine had to become part of NATO.
Wow. I like that analysis. Particularly, you're the only one that in my 10 years here has used the word correctly, vitiated. All right? I like that, Ray. Now, Ray...
I'd like to vitiate a couple people, Randy.
Yeah.
Not you, but...
All right. You can obviate me, but don't vitiate. I'd like to bring on one of your biggest fans and someone who's really knowledgeable on what's going on in Eastern Europe, who knows all about World War I and World War II. Big fan of yours, a former head of the defense apparatus, criminal defense at the Legal Aid Society here in New York, is retired, barrister extraordinaire Jeffrey Abrams. Jeffrey, you know a lot about what's happening in Eastern Europe, and that's what we're talking about. You have any questions for Ray?
Oh, yes. It's what somebody said before. What's his name? Said, where is the outrage? And I keep thinking in German it comes out as, wo ist die Empörung? I think Ray studied German, so I think he might understand it. Yeah. But it's like I am constantly amazed. I watched it all begin, and I watched Putin constantly saying like that we want to guarantee that they won't be in NATO. And I remember Biden kept saying it's a non-issue, it's a non-starter. It's a non-starter, and then people would tell me, yeah, but we don't have any immediate goal to take them into NATO. Maybe they'd wait a few months or whatever, but you can look it all up. George Washington U has all of the archives that go back to the pledge, the pledge to Gorbachev, and the fact that, Thatcher was aware of it, the fact that, the German foreign minister was aware of it. Everybody was aware of it, and it was all totally forgotten. The moment that the Russians went in, the media, as if, on total clockwork, as if organized, had photographs of little girls chasing their dollies, as the mean Russian soldiers were kidnapping their mothers or whatever. It was the most orchestrated, campaign I've ever seen. And anybody, at the beginning, a few people mentioned once in a while that maybe it was, caused by the expansion of NATO, but that was said to be a Putin talking piece. And that was totally forgotten. And I watch TV too much. I'm the old-timer in the group. I've been retired since the last century, actually. In 1999, I stopped working. So I got nothing to do with myself. And Randy knows like that. I got a bad back, and I don't get around too much at 83 years old. But I keep hearing people say the same bullshit.
Oh, come on. You can't use that word. I don't even have... Jesus.
Sorry. I forgot for a moment.
Yeah,
I'll
ahead.
pay the fine, Randy. I'll pay the fine. Like that, but I'm just amazed, and I'm amazed, that how little people know, like that, and how wonderful democracy is. And if only Cuba and China would become democracies, we could spend a few $1 billion and have our campaigns win there too, like that. Because most people don't have time to study, and most people have the most limited awareness, of the truth of it. I mean, I go back to being a late learner like that. I was all for Israel in the 1967 war until I read how Moshe Dayan went into the West Bank, and he didn't understand why he was going in, but he was told, go in, we'll take it. And I expected them to return it. I expected a deal, like that. I was a young guy then. I expected them to return it for a guarantee of no violence from the Palestinians. And then somebody named Moshe Levinger and Gush Elanim came along and took 300 or 400 people into Hebron, and it was all over. It was then
we have 5 minutes left, Jeffrey. Do you have a question for Ray?
Sorry. Okay, Ray, what happened to Tulsi? I heard Tulsi before she was in his position talking about the Ukraine situation, and she agreed with what you just said and what I just said. Did she change, or is she still changed? I remember, I thought she'd be a positive influence on Trump, who should have done this at the very start.
Well, Ray?
Well, you have Tulsi, and you have the analysts at CIA now that have been culled, and the bad ones gone. But you also have the president's special envoy for Ukraine, a fellow named Kellogg, and he's telling the president that the Ukraine is winning and the Russians are losing and the Russian economy is falling apart. And we just have to, it's just going to be fine, Mr. President. So you have a bifurcation. You have a division between these so-called advisors to Trump that won't heal. Now, the good news is that Trump seems to be depending on somebody who's got his head screwed on, right? And that is Witkoff. And Witkoff has, among other things, talked personally with Putin 6 times now. Putin seems willing to do a deal. The question really is whether Trump can summon the power and the guts to make it happen. And I think that it will involve a Russian win, but that can be sort of disguised with enough lipstick to put on that pig of defeat. And so, the Russians really would prefer not to have to take over all of Ukraine. So there's the makings of a deal there. It's just that whether Trump can face down real stupid people like Kellogg and give Witkoff his, enough leverage to negotiate this thing, I think we'll be all right. So there's a lot of good news here from the Russians. Whether Trump will be able this time, after being emasculated during the first term, will he be able to come through? That's really the fly in the ointment.
Well, Ray, what about, where do these guys come from, like Kellogg? People like General Petraeus, Ben Hodges, Jack Kane. What rocks do they climb out of? And this ISW, Institute for the Study of War, it seems to have a lot of alumni that are floating around making these wild claims.
It's not rocks, Randy. You know the swamp. They slither out of the swamp. Now, Kellogg was in Vietnam, right? So he learns what Westmoreland did in Vietnam. Westmoreland lied through his teeth, right? And so he got 4 stars. He said that there were only 200,000 enemy, and we knew there were 500,000 enemy, and Tet happened. And Westmoreland was celebrated when he died, and everyone went to his funeral. Now, Kellogg says, well, it doesn't matter if you lie through your teeth or if you're just stupid. You're going to be celebrated because you had 3 stars in his case, and nobody's going to notice. So that's the charitable explanation about Kellogg. There's a not-so-charitable one. There is such a thing as invincible ignorance, and that is if you really try not to understand things, you can do that. But that doesn't leave you off the hook, not even in Catholic theology. That's where the term comes from. If you're invincibly ignorant, you don't go right to hell, right? You can't be blamed. You go to this place called Purgatory, if it exists anymore, right? And then maybe you even get to heaven. So be invincibly ignorant. Well, God, I don't think in foreign affairs, I don't think that in military affairs, when kids are dying by the thousands every week, that Kellogg's going to make it even to Purgatory, if you ask me. I got to run off now. Thanks, Jeffrey, and thanks, Randy.
Tomorrow you will be tomorrow you will be up in Kingston, and at 2:00 it starts. Occupy Peace, Ray McGovern. I'm really looking forward to seeing you up there. I haven't seen you in a long time. It's been a long time. I think it's, when was it? Like 3 or 4 years ago.
When I spoke at the UN.
Yes, that's it.
Ago, yeah.
Wow. All right, Ray, thank you so much.
Most welcome.
All right, and we'll see you tomorrow.
You.
Okay, Jeffrey,
Bye.
you can stay on for a few more minutes. Any final thoughts on? Let's talk about this race in New York City, Jeffrey.
Yeah. By the way, Randy, I love them. They were gorgeous. I saw them. They
What's
really
that?
Painted the Israeli trucks,
Yeah.
They painted the cabs beautiful black. They painted all the margins and stuff. I think that Larry was right. They had a choice between offing you and putting a bunch of trucks in. And
Right. There were 7 Israeli trucks
There were 7.
at the UN.
Yeah.
7 or 8, a fleet of them. Exactly like
I
the
saw
one I
5 or
was
6
driving around in front of the UN yesterday, driving around the city. And it said let's not forget October 7th. And I said, I had a skirmish there in front of the consulate with that truck with a couple of Shin Bet guys, and suddenly, I should say imitation is flattery, but not in this case. You know what I mean? It's scary. Is what it is.
Well, it is.
It is. It is. It just shows you how dangerous it is to engage in that kind of activity at my age. All right, it's dangerous, and Larry was right. So
somebody pointed it out to an Israeli that this guy Randy is like causing a little stir or something like that. They must have gotten the idea from you.
Well, obviously, I mean, they have not done it in the last 3 years. Suddenly, it shows up. They haven't done it ever. They've never used LED mobile trucks. You know what I mean? And then I had that music on it, "Samud" by Roger Waters. You know what I mean? With all of those images of the women that died over there, and it's really beautiful. That will be playing tomorrow up in. Roger will be up there, not up there, but you got to see what he's got, what he's presenting tomorrow. If you can't go up there, you can watch it at Gerald's website, Salente's website. But it's really worth the price of going up there to see Roger on the big screen there. And this amazing piece of work called Samud,
I saw him
Under
on
the Rubble.
Big screen in Mexico City with 300,000 people.
Yeah. Well, yes, his work. I saw Eric Clapton this week, and he was great. It was a great performance. But I look at I've seen a lot of concerts in my life, but Roger stands alone. His "This Is Not a Drill," which I saw one time with you, Reggie, right? Yeah. At least one time. I saw it 8 times, even in South America, and every time it's like it's the same experience. You know what I mean? It's like, wow. Yeah. It's like watching Sandy Koufax's no-hitter against the Cubs back in 1964. Wow. It's just the most amazing.
Does he have the inflated pig? The inflated pig comes out?
Well, there's all sorts of images. Roger's is the consummate professional and a creative genius, and a real great lyricist. I say he's Lord Byron with Richard Burton's voice. You know what I mean? Because it's just he's so good on that stage, and he's so committed. He's younger than you, Jeffrey, by the way.
He puts me in tears.
Yeah, he really does.
He's a young man to me.
Yeah, he's really.
You're all young men to me.
Yeah, well, I think you walk around better than I do. So we're going to go to the mayor's race. If you want to stick around for a few more minutes, we're going to talk to. You can hang on the line. We don't have you on that often, and listen to our next guy. We're going to go. We're going to play some music first. We're going to play. I think we'll play "Happy Days Are Here Again," and come back with the author of a new book on the mayor's race and the correspondent for our show, special correspondent for our show, and that is Ted Hamm, who also is a featured writer at the Independent covering the New York City mayoral race. You can hang around. You can hang around, Jeffrey. But
if I can, I will. If I can't, I won't.
All right. We'll be right back with Ted Hamm.
Happy days are here again. The skies above are clear again. Let us sing a song of cheer again. Happy days are here again. All together, shout it now. There's no one who can doubt it now. So let's tell the world all about it now. Happy days are here again. Your cares and troubles are gone. There'll be no more from now on. Happy days are here again. The skies above are clear again. Let us sing a song of cheer again. Happy days are here again. So long, sad times, so long, bad times. We are rid of you at last. Howdy, gay times, cloudy, gray times. You are now a thing of the past.
Happy days are here again, the skies above are clear again. Let us sing a song of cheer again. Happy days are here.
All right, that's Annette Henshaw, one of my favorite jazz singers from the 20s. She was a heiress to a lot of money, and she said, "Forget the money. I want to sing." And she made a bunch of albums for Columbia Records, and she married her producer, and she quit. And just tremendous. Annette Henshaw, look her up, man. I think Terry Waldo and I talked about her a lot the last time he was on the show. Randy Cunicle Live on the Fly. We played Happy Days. That was FDR's theme song in 1932. And maybe he used that. Maybe she wrote that just for him, but she didn't write it. So joining us right now, as I said, is someone following to NYC. Here we go. NYC's mayor's race, and that is Ted Hamm, the journalist and author. And Ted, welcome back.
Thanks, Randy. Good to be with you and Reggie and Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Still here?
Jeffrey, you still there? I think Jeffrey left. All right, it's okay. Well, Jeffrey left. But so let's he wanted to listen to you. All right. So you want to listen to you. So tell us right now, if you were to predict or you were a betting man, where would you lay your cash on November 7th?
Well, right now, certainly Zoran Mamdani looks like the clear favorite. He's up by 20 points in every poll.
Over who? Over the rest of the field? He said
yes. And that's assuming that all three candidates stay in the race, which appears to be the case. That Cuomo, Liwa, and Adams may be the one who seems like he could drop out. There's also some rumors that Cuomo could drop out, but nothing's really showing either of those things to be the case. So it's likely that all three are staying. Certainly Sliwa's staying in.
Right. Well, for sure. Cuomo dropped out of the race. He was on Ray Harding's Liberal ticket back in 2002, and he lost in the primary to Carl McCall. And he dropped out of the race, and it destroyed the Liberal Party. So whatever is best for him is what Andrew's going to do. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, what I've been saying to people is, does he really want to lose twice? And he was saying, there was some reporting today that it would be humiliating for him to lose twice to Mamdani, someone who's half his age. And then what's he going to do next? And according to at least a story in the Post, and keep in mind they don't like Cuomo, but they did say that he was saying he would not rule out running for another office, unclear what that office might be.
You know what? Wait a second. Hold on. He could run for Mamdani's seat in the Assembly.
Well, that's a little low profile for him. But the other thing that the Post was bringing out was that Cuomo had been in touch with Adams' notorious fixer, Frank Carone, and there's been some rumors to that effect, too, that Frank Carone is acting as a double agent, trying to make these deals for Adams. He showed up in some of the stories where Adams was being offered the Saudi ambassadorship or a position at HUD, and all the stories that were playing out earlier this month. And maybe Carone was behind some of those rumors because she appears to have close ties to Cuomo. So there's a lot of backstage maneuvering, but nothing really happening. But the thing I wanted to highlight for you was just what you were talking about a few minutes ago with the protests outside of the UN that escalated today because Netanyahu was there beaming his speech into Gaza via everyone's cell phone.
Today, or was that yesterday? Was that today?
That's today, this morning.
Oh, I missed it. Yeah.
And so there were these massive protests, and then all the diplomats walked out, or most of the diplomats walked out. I saw the Colombia delegation made a show of defiance and didn't want to listen to Netanyahu and so on. But the one person who was eager to meet with Netanyahu was none other than Mayor Eric Adams.
You got to be kidding me.
There's a story in the Times of Israel that went up this afternoon with Adams shaking hands with Netanyahu, and then there's a quote from him that I'll just read very briefly. I was particularly, of all the world leaders we have greeted this week, I was particularly proud to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after his address to the United Nations to thank him for defending the Western world and our way of life.
Wow.
So,
wait until Charles and Inez Barron talk about that later on today. Eric Adams, man, is he an opportunist?
So he's saying that genocide is our way of life. That's pretty a strong statement, right?
Well, at any rate, there were a bunch of trucks out there, I understand, that were very similar to what I used to drive around. I don't anymore, Israel. I don't drive the trucks anymore. My knees are done, all right? So I don't float around in the truck. But
memo to the IDF.
Yes. And I don't use a pager. All right.
Okay. Well, so going back to whether the
all right, so that's a Hail Mary for him, if I may say.
Oh yeah,
there's a mitzvah for him from the other side, but a Hail Mary from me.
Sure. I mean, he's got no base. He's not even popular among older black voters at this point.
It's a good move. It's a smart move if he can get he needs votes. And is he popular in the black community?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I saw a poll that came out earlier this month that he was only getting 11% support among black voters of all age groups. I don't know if they broke it down, but in any case, that's a lot. No one would have expected that 4 years ago. They would have expected him to retain some support, right? And he doesn't even. They've turned on. This seems like a lot of those voters have turned on him because he's been so egregious in trying to cut these deals for himself, get out of legal jams, and making deals with Trump, and then his willingness to play ball with Trump on immigration and just shameless.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely shameless. Look, out of the 70 people that are still alive that are friends of mine, 60 of them are Jewish in this city, and I can tell you, every one of them are voting for Mondami. So he's got a large swath of the Jewish vote.
Oh, certainly liberal Jews, younger Jews, and generally speaking. So yeah, he's very popular across all groups. And the Times recently said in a story they said matter of factly that he appears to be on a glide path to victory. So I mean, there's still time on the still 6 weeks to go, whatever. But at this point, it certainly looks like everything's trending in the direction for him. So my book, Run Zaran Run, or books.com.
Oh, yeah. Colin.
The primary, how he got to where he is, which is really by toppling Cuomo, obviously, in the primary, but how did he top Cuomo in the primary? And that's what I'm explaining in the book. So I got a lot of insights.
Well, give us a couple of insights. Just give us one or two reasons how he topped Cuomo in the next. We still have a couple of minutes left here, Ted.
Well, you
got to get your book.
He ran such a dynamic campaign. He was out on the streets and obviously successful with social media and so on. And he stuck to his issues. He had his message. He had his, his canvassers knocking on doors, delivering the message. Even if Cuomo had canvassers, they would not have had anything to say when people opened the door, right? Cuomo did not have any policies that he was advocating, and even coming back for the second round in the general election, he still doesn't have any policies, right? He's just sort of using buzzwords like affordability, but Mamdani made that the issue in the race, the defining issue in the race back when Mamdani got in back in late October of 2024, right? So Cuomo's just floundering, and the other candidates don't have any real inspiring issues either, right? So, Zaran and company, when I don't give him full entire credit, right? Because his platform came out of the DSA activists in the city, housing activists, tenants' rights activists, and so on. But he just was an effective messenger.
He's going to be enemy number one in the Trump administration, right? And he is.
Well, that's what. Yeah, that's what when you're enemy number one, but you have hundreds of thousands of people ready to go out in the streets on your behalf, then that gives you a lot of strength, right? And you got to wonder.
He's got to be real careful. He's got to be real careful. If I were him,
sure.
Sure. I mean, he can't sit on the ball, but he could. He's got to be real careful because a lot of people don't want him in, and they're really zealots.
Right, but what he has is working in his favor is he has people who will go out, hit the streets on his behalf, but he also, I don't think the city elite wants total chaos disrupting the corporate command center of the United States and the globe in many respects. So they need their executives to get to work.
Has he met with the elite?
Not work in their benefit.
Has he met with Wall Street elite and the real estate elite? Because real estate, New York is all about real estate.
Yeah, he's been meeting with them. I mean, it's hard to say what really has. He hasn't changed anything in his platform. He said he would tone down some of the rhetoric, but that has not led to any meaningful alterations in his platform.
He's not going to do what Bill de Blasio did and bring in the guy like Bill Bratton as the police commissioner, is he?
Right. So yeah, that was a clear move to placate the establishment, and we'll see. That's a little. He's not making any commitments now. That will take place after November 4th.
It could be a real sea change in this city, and I think a lot of people fear that, the status quo. So he's going to have a lot of the deep city or deep state in the city pushback, I think, and I just. If he wins, he wouldn't be inaugurated until January 20th or something like that.
No, January 1st.
That's right, January 1st. I forgot that.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've been saying to people. This past January 1st, he was at Coney Island doing the plunge in a $30 suit he got from a thrift shop in Astoria. And if things continue to work in his favor, this coming January 1st, he ain't going to be wearing a $30 suit.
Right. Well, have him give it to me, and maybe I'll run for that assembly seat. Okay. Or something of that nature. And so you're going to be on. We're going to get you on as much as we can over the next.
Okay.
You agree to do that? You got to be flexible on your time because there's a lot of things going on in the world. But I want to make sure that we focus on the city. And
I'm happy to chat.
All right. This is WBAI. You listen to the station, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a good station, isn't it? Yes. You want it to be around.
The Independent has the radio hour. I always check in on that.
That's right.
Yeah, Ted is on. He's a regular contributor to that show.
Oh, I didn't know that. Why didn't you tell me that? I wouldn't have put you on. I'm kidding, Ted. You're on. You're on Drive Time. Remember, this is Drive Time. And this is Friday, 3 o'clock. There are millions of people that drive cars, and then there are tourists going upstate all around to the Delaware Water Gap, to Trenton, to Yale. We have a huge people are not on their phones looking to get online to listen to a podcast that was recorded yesterday. They want to hear it live, and we have it right here between ESPN and WNYC. There we lie. All right, so we're in a great spot here.
I'm going to the movies, so I'm going to go see that new Thomas Pynchon flick.
Oh yeah, what is it called?
Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
One battle after another.
Yeah. Well, I'm in a movie that's coming out in December. I'm not going to tell you the name of it, but it's coming out on the big screen.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Ted Hamm from The Independent. All right. We're playing Ohio.